Doing these things with Americans for Prosperity Foundation. We want to kind of give you guys a look and feel of what it's like to be on the Rio Grande Valley, to be on the border. Where you guys just were was right off the expressway, right? You guys had a good night's sleep last night. North of that is pretty much where the city is, right? That's McAllen, Edinburgh, Farr, Mission, Palmhurst. It's an eclectic group of a bunch of like smaller cities, but you combine it together and the population, you'll have about a population about the size of Austin. Right, if you consider all of the Rio Grande Valley. So it's a big group, but oftentimes when you see on the news, we're going to take you to some of those hot spots, you see that it's very different than what I think you guys kind of experienced just even last night, right? Nice, breezy. I heard the pillows weren't the best in the hotel, sorry about that. But I wasn't mind doing, that was George here. So George and I want to give you guys a little like feel about what it's like to be in this area. My wife is born and raised in Farr. And my dad was military, so we traveled a lot, but ever since I've been here for about 7 to 8 years, it's been a pretty cool place to be. North of that expressway is the 7th safest city in the state of Texas. So put that in your head when you're thinking about all of this, the problem areas, which there are in the Rio Grande Valley on the border. There are problems, but the city itself is actually one of the safest places to live in the entire state and in the entire country. But as we went south of that expressway, you're going to see a lot more open field, open areas. We're going to pass one section, which is kind of like a lot of production. You got GE, LG, you have Stanley, Black & Decker. There's a lot of big businesses, a lot of big corporations that have HQs down here. But south of that is where we see a lot more of those problem areas. So we're going to take you some hot spots. I got my buddy George here. He's also a recent immigrant from California, a refugee. That's the word. From California. So him and I work with the Libre Institute here in McAllen, Texas. Actually, that's where Libre started. So Libre, we're a sister organization to Americans for Prosperity. You guys all know the person that flew you down here with Americans for Prosperity. And so our focus is reaching out to the Latino community about limited government and how we can fix a lot of these problems. One of those problems would be immigration. So here in the Rio Grande Valley, in McAllen area, we do see a crisis. We do see a problem, but we also see a thriving city. I got it. That's some Asian reflexes, came into play. So we do see a lot of problems, but it's one of those weird things, right? You have the city that's trying to play a part. You have the state that's trying to help out. You have our local congresswoman, a woman that's doing a great job, and you have other ones in the states that are doing great jobs, but you also have the federal government that plays a big role in this thing. And as I said earlier, as you guys gave a round of applause for, right? They're just not paying attention to the issue. So hopefully today, as we go through, we'll show you certain spots of the wall. We'll see that this is a multi-administration thing, from George W. Bush's wall all the way to Barack Obama's, Hillary Clinton, to Donald Trump, to even Greg Abbott. Everybody's trying to work at the problem, but we'll see. Yeah, okay, so that was Andy Patna. So if you haven't seen before, and I think you guys have, that the government is inefficient in the way that it does things and ineffective, well, hopefully I can open your eyes today and show you that. But it's going to take all of us working together in a bunch of different ways and understanding the true situation that people are facing, that we can then see change happen. I know a lot of you guys, some of you guys here are elected representatives or have aspirations there. That's a phenomenal thing. So I hope this can be a good educational day for you to see and learn and see how business is trying to fill the gap for where the federal government has been unable to do. So this area is the south part of McAllen. Bustle, right? The airport has one of the highest retail, right next to the airport is a mall. It's one of the highest retail sectors in the entire country. You have the #1 American Eagle, H&M, Dillard's, all those places are at that mall. And that's because of the influx. Every day you have, I don't even know, goodness, millions of people a month cross over to the border and infuse dollars into this city, which is great. To our left real quick, to your right, is one of the walls. That's the George W. Bush wall? That's a Trump wall? That's a Trump wall right there. Yeah, all the walls look different. Annie asked a question, do they all look different? So they started building in 2006, or so, and then you see construction happen. We're gonna go to all the different, bunch of different spots, but if you see this wall here, just watch it as we talk and as we drive, and you can see the construction, and you'll see some of the inefficiencies I kind of brought about. Real quick. Yeah, so these are bodegas. There's a lot of, we're gonna go to a bridge first. Before I talk about bodegas, we're gonna go to a bridge first, and that's one of the legal channels. There's what, 11 legal channels that you can come in, and people do it every single day. There's bridges, ferries. If you look at the GDP of what comes through this area annually, you're talking almost $300 billion that comes through this area from trade. And a lot of these warehouses, bodegas, and all that stuff is kind of like, you know, the middleman where they get the import and export. But you're talking $300 billion travels through this area every single year, and that's a short estimate because I don't remember what year that was at. The bridge we're about to go to, I'll give 1 second, $4.4 billion of petrol went through just last year, exported. $3 billion in gasoline, $600 million in just wire cable, $562 million in car parts, $2 billion of avocados. So if you guys are wondering where you get your avocados from, $1.5 billion in berries. This place is importing and exporting a lot of the things you guys consume on a daily basis. My buddy in church, he's an engineer with Stanley Black & Decker, and they shut down some plants in North Carolina, Ohio, I think, and he said Idaho and somewhere else, and they moved everybody here to the Rio Grande Valley because they make a lot of tools. They go to Mexico, they get them produced, and then they QC them, right, and assemble them in the United States of America. So a lot of industry will come through this area. You talk hundreds of billions of dollars a year. So we're going to take you to a bridge, and that's going to be one of, like, what we call like the legal ports of entry. And there's 11 of them, and the wait time just to get across and to import and export so we can all buy cheaper things at Walmart, you're talking 2 to 5 hours depending on, you know, the time of day. So this right here, the wall, if you saw just a second ago, it kind of changed. There was a little gap and then it changed in color and stuff and structure. This is the George W. Bush one now. The other side's a lot taller. One thing about these walls, that's not the actual border. So the last group, that was a surprise to them, so I want to make sure that you guys know that. That's not Mexico. Those trees are not Mexican trees. I don't, maybe they're ash trees, but I don't know. What I mean is they're not trees that are in Mexico. So that's a weird thing to kind of understand when you're going across. Like on a tour like this, is when we go on the other side of the wall, we're going from U.S. soil to U.S. soil. We'll talk some policy stuff about that and the implications there later.
How far is Mexico?
Mexico's right there, just ahead of us. Yeah, so certain spots of the wall, you're talking like 12 miles north of the border. Some spots, it's like 100 yards, 200 yards. So you see this, it just constantly changes. But yeah, you can get about 12 to 15 miles north of the border is where the wall would be. So some people are, I can see Emily's face right now, that's just ridiculous. It's true, right?
A lot of wasted space.
Yeah, you got 15 miles that somebody, yeah, has, you know, there's U.S. soil. You'll see some neighborhoods, like trailer park homes, neighborhoods, all this stuff that are on the other side of the wall. I wish my fence was that nice, right? But that's a U.S. house, right? You can see that happen. And so when individuals, sometimes if you're thinking about an all-encompassing policy, that might not be the best place. Oh, look, the wall just stopped right there. It's gone.
Go back, photo op.
So right nose up.
If you look kind of straight and to the right, there's some buildings that you will see. That's Reynosa. And then you know the stuff you buy on Amazon and you return them, all that stuff. It all goes to the store right here called Black Friday, and that's where we get it for a lot cheaper.
So thank you for returning your items.
Well, you could probably buy a suitcase. Exactly. This is why my wife is in charge of gift buying, because what's wrong?
Where's the Rihanna?
No, I'm a bigger spender.
Wait, that's great.
I'm proud, but it's just
Just be like a regular way for you.
Oh, there you go.
All right, so right here in front of us, this is that store where you guys thank you for giving me my cheap AirPods that I got on Amazon for $60. It came from there, which I did. So, Annie has a question about, before I get to that, this is the bridge right here. We're at the very back of the bridge. So right when we pass that, you can see that's at the very back. This is the Hidalgo Bridge. This is one of those ports of entries. The Hidalgo Bridge, I think, cleared itself like $3 billion this year so far, this fiscal year, in imports and exports. So that's a heck of a number. And so this is the back end. We don't want to get stuck in that. Yeah.
Flip on cannabis.
I don't have any on me. I don't know if that's you want to see me afterwards. So that's one of the ports of entries. We talk a lot of import-export. My wife said when she went to school here, there's all the buses and stuff. A lot of the church schools would wait there, and then American citizens who have kids, right? They would walk across, and then they would just go back and forth and go to school. Kind of like Tijuana and San Diego. It's just a lot cheaper living. I mentioned.